Hello everyone, welcome to Module 5, Eliciting Techniques. In this video, we'll talk about the definitions and important roles of eliciting in language teaching and learning, and also introduce some techniques for eliciting vocabulary. Now, let's get started with this activity. Spend 2 minutes to study 2 ways of presenting words and answer the following questions. Which involves more participation from students? Which one do you prefer? Why? Obviously, the second way of presenting words can involve more participation from students. In the first example, the teacher just presents the word and asks students to repeat the word. However, in the second example, the teacher asks students if they know the word, if they understand its meaning, and if they know how to write it in English. Getting students involved in the presentation of new language by encouraging them to share the knowledge and activate the thinking by making them more responsible for the learning. The techniques the teacher in the second example uses are called eliciting techniques. Let's talk a little more about the definitions of eliciting. According to Scrivener J. 2012, eliciting or elicitation is a term which describes a range of techniques that enable the teacher to get learners to provide information rather than giving it to them. According to Gover, R&O 2005, eliciting is when the teacher brings out students' knowledge, suggestions, and ideas. You can do this by asking questions and by encouraging and guiding contributions. In short, eliciting is a technique used to get answers, information, or ideas from the students, so that the teacher doesn't have to tell them everything. Eliciting is an indispensable classroom management technique, not only necessary for teachers, but also for students. There are some important roles of eliciting for language teachers. First of all, eliciting is a bridge that narrows the gap between the teacher and students, as it builds up and maintains meaningful interaction between them. Secondly, eliciting helps create a more learner-centered classroom, getting the students more involved and engaged in the lesson, as well as break down the traditional teacher-centeredness, thereby reducing teacher talking time. Thirdly, eliciting is a powerful diagnostic tool, providing key information about what the students know or don't know, and therefore acts as a starting point for lesson planning. Finally, eliciting encourages teachers to be flexible and to move on rather than dwell on information which is already known. For language learners, eliciting is also a classroom technique from which they can gain a lot of benefits. First, eliciting gets students interested and keep them alert during the lesson. You can choose a suitable eliciting technique from a variety to arouse students' interest. When they pay good attention, they will be more alert. Second, eliciting can encourage students to brainstorm for ideas, think creatively, and learn through tasks and self-discovery. Third, eliciting helps students learn how to guess. In fact, communicating in real time is a continual process of guessing, which means trying to predict what people are going to say and trying to work out the attitude by their tone of voice and body language. Next, eliciting can increase student talking time, thereby cutting down on teacher talking time. Students are actively responding to almost everything you say in almost every stage of the lesson. As a result, they are speaking more often than they would be if they are just listening to the teacher giving explanations. And finally, eliciting helps students take responsibility for their own learning. Eliciting gives students a motivating feeling of being encouraged to take part in, give some of their opinions, and contribute some of their knowledge to the lesson. Eliciting can happen at any stage of a lesson, especially when teachers set up an activity, whether it is a role play, a game, or reading or listening task. When they conduct a brainstorming activity for productive skills lesson, such as speaking and writing lessons. Or when they want to wrap up the lesson in order to elicit what students have learned and memorized after the lesson. As you can see, eliciting is a very important teaching skill. Teachers should also know what they should elicit from students. Firstly, teachers elicit vocabulary items from the students, especially in receptive skills lessons, such as reading and listening lessons. That is when they elicit already learned vocabulary or pre-teach vocabulary items before asking students to read or to listen to a text. Secondly, teachers tend to focus on language. More specifically, they elicit features of meaning, form, and pronunciation of the target language. And lastly, teachers often elicit background knowledge and ideas from the students because they really want to find out what students know and don't know about a topic during a lead-in activity. Now that you have got an overview picture of eliciting, we'll introduce some techniques for eliciting vocabulary, one of the most important focuses of elicitation. Eliciting vocabulary is frequently used in the pre-teaching stage of a receptive skills lesson, such as reading or listening lessons. Here are some techniques which can be used to elicit vocabulary. Number 1. Definition. Here, you can give a clear definition of the word you want to elicit. For example, you say, the main ways that people receive information and entertainment are called. The students may say, the media. Number 2, exemplification. You can give an example or some examples for students to guess the word. For example, you ask, what word can be used to refer to these things: television, radio, newspapers, and the internet. The students may say, the media. Number 3. Context or anecdote. You can give a situation in which something happens, and that helps students understand it, or give a personal account of an event, or tell a short story about a real person or a real event. This technique is useful for more abstract items. For example, you say, one of my friends always looks on the bright side, even when he is in trouble. He always tells himself and others that things will be fine. How can we describe this person? The students may say, optimistic. Number 4. List. You can ask students to make a list of words related to the topic of the lesson. Suggest or focus on the word you need for the lesson. For example, you say, make a list of social issues such as social crimes or pollution. Students will add more to the list, but without the word healthcare, the one that you intend to present today. So you suggest, what about healthcare? Number 5. Synonym. You can give a word or an expression that has the same or nearly the same meaning. For example, you say, the cheetah is fast. What is another word for fast? The students may say, quick. Number 6. Antonym. You can give a word that has the opposite meaning. For example, you ask, what is the opposite of boiling when I'm talking about weather? The students may say, freezing. Number 7. Mime. You can give hand gestures, body movements, or facial expressions to act something without speaking. For example, you say, her new house is, with your outstretched arms, and the student should say, big. Number 8. Visual aids. You can show flashcards, drawings, photos, pictures, or real objects. For example, you can show a picture of a giraffe, draw a giraffe on the board, or bring a plastic giraffe into class to introduce the word giraffe. Those are 8 common ways of eliciting vocabulary. You can use more than one of these ways in a pre-teaching stage. Well, in this video, we have answered the following questions. How is eliciting defined in language teaching and learning? How important is eliciting in language teaching and learning? What techniques can be used to elicit vocabulary? In the next video, we'll discuss teacher questions as the main tool for eliciting. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.